We're back in the building less than a couple of hours before Jed Wills reminded everybody just how poorly this season is going. Bro, read the room. Your latest Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd. We appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. Everyday crowd, keep coming out. I appreciate you all. If you're new here, stick around. Subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Become an everydayer for yourself. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Jedrick Wills. This is where we're going to start. All right. So, comes out today that going into right before the Baltimore Ravens game, Jedrick Wills decided he was going to make a business decision and felt that he was not healthy enough to play in the game. Browns ended up winning that game, pulled out the crash cart, and put a little life back into the season. Dwan Jones played. Dwan Jones played the next week. Jedrick Wills had the audacity to say he was surprised he didn't play in the Charger game after basically tapping out of playing against the Baltimore Ravens. This is what happens when your team is playing poorly. And it's not been this way in Cleveland for a while, as far as this stupid nonsense guys saying things. Look, your team is winning. You can say whatever you want. And even if it's outlandish, it's off the wall, it's a bunch of BS, whatever. Nobody really cares. But when you're playing so piss poorly as a collective unit, and sorry, love them, they're not playing well. We all know it. These things get put under a microscope and get taken from a fleck of dust into a snowball that turns into an avalanche rolling down a mountain. Business decision. Business decision. Are you concerned that if you had played and played poorly, perhaps that's going to hurt your free agent market? Really? Seriously? Where were you even going with this? There is no market for Jedrick Wills after this season. It is a very minute, tiny market. So I'm not exactly sure what business decision he was making. Is this the same business decision you've been making? And look, I've tried to be somebody. I've gone back and forth on Jedrick Wills a lot in now his 5 years here. But tape don't lie, bro. Business decision. Is this what you've done on numerous instances over your career in Cleveland, where all of a sudden we're watching live footage and it looks like for some reason you're on pause while the other 21 players on the field are going full speed? Is this where basically, you've gotten beaten and just kind of stood there, admired, observed, watched what was going on? I'd say I'm done with Jed Wills right now. I would say, and I would tell Jedrick Wills, and if I were the Browns, this has to be addressed somehow, some way tomorrow. I am telling Jedrick Wills, you can come to practice if you want. There is no way you're putting on my uniform again. You will be inactive for the remainder of the season. You got a guy that you've played next to for all these years, Joel Bitonio. Certainly getting closer and closer to the 19th hole of his NFL career. Guy can barely get out on a practice field, but goes out there every game and busts his hump and gives everything he has to this franchise. Talk about a guy who potentially could be mentioned as a future Hall of Famer one day. But you're going to make a business decision in a contract year. It's just a terrible, poor look. And it's these things that when you're going poorly, nothing ever looks good. But it's a damning comment. It really is. For as bad as things are going this year. And look, there's things you can think. There's things you might even be able to say to your teammates. But there are things that you never, ever say in front of the media. It's an embarrassing line from a guy whose career here. And look, I know people are out there trying to say he's one of the worst bust picks. He's not one of the worst bust picks the Browns ever had. Browns have had guys that have been out of here in 2 years over first round picks. And guys that are out of here in a year and change. The fact that he's made 5 years on his contract actually makes him one of the better first round picks they've ever had, if we're being completely honest. But you make a comment like that in a year like this, where it's supposed to be 53-1, just trying to get through it and busting their butts. And for Kevin Stefanski today to say that the goal is always 0 to 100 to win each and every week, there is not a way you can let this guy put on his helmet and pads and play for your team again this year. That's about as big of a I quit as I have ever heard. And you don't need it. And the other thing is, it doesn't matter what he said today, because he ain't going to be here come January. Ain't ever going to be here again. So, not sure what exactly business decision you thought you were making today, Jed Wills. But you basically told everybody else that you're teammates with, I'm more important, when the actuality is you're probably not. And you told them all, I don't care. I don't care about this team. I don't care about this organization. I don't care about anybody else in this locker room. That is what a statement like that means. And for is inconsistent, and I'm being kind because inconsistent is a vague, wide term here. Jedrick Wills, what you did today was terrible. And if it were me, it'd be the last time you ever speak to the Cleveland press, and it will be the last time you would ever put on a game uniform for this franchise again. Yes, that was an issue. But let's be honest, the Browns are going to have a serious, serious issue in regards to where the state of this offensive line is going to be come 2025. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. Appreciate everybody for sticking around. Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby. It's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or an agonizing second overtime, which is why they've created the Stan the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel. The energy shot made just for super fans like you, the fans who are first in the parking lot and who are last to leave. We see you. You know what else gives me a bit of Browns fan fuel this week? Browns going down to New Orleans. Site of the Super Bowl this year. Two teams that won't be playing in the Super Bowl, but we're excited anyway to see Jameis Winston go back and play the New Orleans Saints. 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're preparing for the big tailgate or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is always a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stan the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to help keep you fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with a 5 Hour Energy. Available on 5hourenergy.com. Shipped nationwide. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. If you think Justin Jefferson will get more than or less than 83.5 yards next week, Lamar Jackson will pass for more than 1.5 touchdowns. Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this fantasy football season when you and your crew run your game on Prize Picks. I told you, I love putting together lineups for prime time games. It's just you. It's that game. You can invest in 3 or 4 players over, under on their projections, and you have a chance to take away some real money. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. This is your host, Jeff Floyd. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. We appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. The everyday crowd is awesome. Become an everyday or subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcast. Just want to give a little shout out. My dude, Danny Cunningham, crushing it right now over with his Cavs coverage on Locked On Cavs. Look, it's something to cheer about. It's a team that's looking like they're really, really playing well right now. So go ahead and make sure you're checking out Danny Cunningham and, of course, the Locked On Cavs podcasts. Now, the discussions in regard to Jedrick Wills' comments today. Excuse me, a little tickle, of course. Now, Jed continues. What is just an issue all year long for this team? It was an issue last year for this team. And a lot of people, Bill Callahan left. And, look, the offensive line had its issues last year. Banged up and starting to show some signs of age is this offensive line. It's just a fact. It's exactly what it is. And right now, you look at what your starters will probably be Sunday. DeJuan Jones at left tackle. Look, there's a lot of faith in DeJuan Jones, and I believe all of us collectively think that DeJuan Jones can be part of what is the next Cleveland Browns offensive line that hopefully has a run similar to what this current offensive line has. But he started twice at left tackle. Certainly had the injury, which certainly led to the weight issues. To his credit, DeJuan busted his butt to get himself in better shape. So this is certainly a work in progress with 8 games to go and monitoring just exactly what what DeJuan Jones can give you at left tackle. Joe Bitonio. Look, this team is kind of at a crossroads, it appears, again. And it feels like this team has been at crossroads a bunch during the time Joe Bitonio has been here. Joel's a family man. Where is he at with this? Does he, want to go through this again? We all heard Joe Thomas talk about, when he was realizing his career was over, what it took that final season in the NFL to be able to make it to the field each and every Sunday. Joe Bitonio was a witness to that. Has a great relationship with Joe Thomas. So it certainly probably puts some thoughts in Joe Bitonio's head. I don't know if it's the end or not. And if Joe Bitonio wants to come back, he gets every opportunity to be the Cleveland Browns left guard next year. There's no doubt about it. He's earned it. Center, Ethan Posick, just hasn't been as good as he was 2 years ago when he first took over the starting job for this team. Still has a contract potentially for next year. Maybe you don't want to revamp an entire offensive line and, work in a new center. So maybe there's the path for Ethan Posick to be the Browns center in 2025. But, if you're going to scrap most of it and you want to say, well, let's just scrap all of it, who am I to tell you what to do? Now, Wyatt Teller, certainly an interesting case. Wyatt is not, maybe approaching the back nine of his career. Probably not on the back nine just yet. But, Wyatt Teller does make a good amount of money. And, when Wyatt Teller is healthy, Wyatt Teller is a all-pro caliber right guard. He doesn't make business decisions, however, so he goes out and plays when he is not 100% healthy. And unfortunately, there is a drop-off in play, which there is with almost anybody in the NFL when they go out and they're not 100%. So would you say maybe Wyatt Teller sticks around, revamped contract, reworked contract? So at least you have, some sort of stable presence on your offensive line for 2025. They don't run block very well. Their pass blocking has been better. Try to be nice, I guess. Jack Conklin at right tackle. I mean, I don't know where to say or speak on, as far as, apparently Jack Conklin's house is for sale. I do not know what that means. That could mean a million things. It could mean Jack Conklin could make a substantial amount of money on the home he owns. I don't know. But again, because if DeJuan Jones isn't going to be your left tackle, you're at least hoping that DeJuan Jones is going to be your future right tackle, which means where does that leave things with Jack Conklin? Another player who's been, when healthy, has been really good for the Cleveland Browns. All pro season, his first year here. Banged up a lot since then. But this offensive line, and look, we can point fingers everywhere. And yes, I absolutely agree that, quarterback is by far the biggest issue with this franchise currently. But that still doesn't mean you don't look at other spots and say, okay, well, they suck less. The offensive line has gotten old. It's just not the same unit it was a couple of years ago. They don't run the ball well right now. Certainly interesting to see how that looks this Sunday in New Orleans. You've had enough time back. All the rust should be shaken off for Nick, hopefully. And, you get an opportunity to go out there and, go ahead and, you're playing a team that's on your level, even though the Saints won this past week. They don't really have wide receivers. Their two top wide receivers, Shaheed and Chris Olave, ain't going to be there. Who knows? Does his team look better this week? It's probably way, way too late for a team that's currently slated to draft 4th this coming April. And there's going to be a lot of work to do. Offensive line, there could conceivably be the offensive line that this team trots out on Sunday. DeJuan Jones at left tackle, Joe Bitonio at left guard, Ethan Posick at center, Wyatt Teller at right guard, Jack Conklin at right tackle. Maybe you keep 2 or 3. Maybe it's none. And if you say DeJuan Jones goes to right tackle, that would be where you're going with none. There's a lot of issues with this football team. I just hope they come out each week and battle. Because God knows you fans certainly deserve it. Latest Lockdown Browns continues. Everybody stick around. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with promo code NFL. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience. And the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with the promo code NFL and a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com. Omaha, you got to say it like a Manning, right? And an extra $30 off with the promo code NFL. Minimum purchase may apply. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Closing out your latest Locked On Browns, your host, Jeff Lloyd. You guys are all awesome. We appreciate you for coming out every day. The everyday crowd, if you're not part of it by now, make a new plan, stand, and that plan is to subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. After this, check out Locked On NFL. Tyler Rowan in the AM, Tony Wiggins in the PM. You can only imagine. You can get coverage of, hey, Joe Burrow, did you see what he did Thursday night? Yeah, he lost. Jared Goff, did you see what he did Sunday night? Throwing 5 interceptions? He won. The NFL is nuts, and so are the boys who cover it on the Locked On NFL podcasts. Now, Jameis Winston is slated to start Sunday in New Orleans. I'm okay with that. I think for the Browns, I think you ride Jameis until you know you're officially out of it. You want to play DTR from that point on, knock yourselves out. One thing I did not like today was when asked, Kevin Stefanski says, I can envision possibly having some plays put in for DTR. Why? Why do you give that up? There's no need. Anybody needs to know that. There's no reason for anybody to know that. If you think there is a wrinkle or two for Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and you are currently 2-7, you keep it under your hat. Plain and simple. Jameis certainly has a relationship in New Orleans. Was a big part of that franchise as well, as you're starting to see here with the Browns. And look, with this, the coaching staff's done with him, but the players, look. When you're 2-7 and completely underachieving and not even close to the team people thought you were going to be, again, everything festers. It grows. It swells. And even the most minute things now become very pecky and annoying issues. So I don't know where all that goes. But Jameis is an upbeat personality. And you got to give him credit for being one guy that's trying to get everybody rallied every Sunday to go out and try and win. For a backup quarterback, he ain't got much else. If he can win, keeps getting decent contracts, probably not going to be viewed as a number one, but he'll keep getting decent contracts to stick around and be a number two in the NFL. And you're supposed to have that personality. And that's the way you're supposed to roll. So I give Jameis a lot of credit for the way he handles it, because I don't think it's fake. I don't think it's phony. I think he truly believes it, and he's trying to do what's best for him and his teammates. I believe all of it. I truly do. Now, you want to see the continued development Sunday from a player like Cedric Tillman. Certainly him and Jameis have a nice little relationship going to this point. And, this is good for Tillman. Getting his little breakout here in year 2. Starting to get a little bit more confidence about himself. I talk about this all the time. It just needs for a guy, first year, second year, just to get that first taste of success. Because it just calms down your own nerves. It calms down your own mind. Can I play at this level? Do I belong at this level? Do I deserve to be here? Am I good enough? And you get that first little taste of success, and all of a sudden, more of it starts to come. Because all those inner self-doubts start to go away. So good for Cedric Tillman. Kevin Stefanski also today said that he thought Ogbonnaya Okoronkwo would most likely be the starter. I guess. It really should be Isaiah McGuire. It really should be. Things we're going to look out for the rest of the week is, how are the Browns handling this roster? Who's getting called up? Way I see it, Browns have 3 open spots on their 53-man roster. I want to see a player like Juwan Briggs. I want to see him and Mike Hall go out there and play some football together. Why not? You're 2-7. You might want to see your two rookie defensive tackles play together. And hopefully it leads you towards some answers and clarity towards 2025. Isaiah McGuire, I mean, he should be getting a bunch of reps. Look, Agbo is going to get his reps being the number 3 DN between those two. He'll get his 20, 25, which is great, and he'll be here next year. That's fine. I have no issues with it. But give Isaiah McGuire an opportunity. See if he can, be the guy. The Browns have holes, big holes. I'm not sure what you're going to do with Tomlinson, but you're probably going to have a big hole D tackle. You're certainly going to have a hole at edge. Secondary is going to be its own questions, and a lot's going to go on there over the next 8 games to see where those guys truly are at after, a rough season for the Cleveland Browns secondary. But Jedrick Wills, completely inexcusable, 100% inexcusable. And of all people to make a comment like that, you certainly are not the guy. This offensive line is probably going to be transitioning from this year to next year. Big issues there. And, trying to firm up what's going to be your offensive line in the future. Jameis starts Sunday in New Orleans. I'm your host, Jeff Lloyd. I appreciate you all for making Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. Come on in. Join the everyday crowd. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.